good idea. Why don't we forget about the wine?
Goodness, that looks awful. You're going to have to see a manicurist.
I could make a quick dinner, and we could discuss dessert.
Here, change your diet.
One reason I don't go to swanky New York restaurants, I make it a rule not to eat in a place where snails are served under assumed names. My choice would have been to order burgers to go, and keep the gourmet talk to the merits of mustard over ketchup. But satin sheets can make the best man compromise. Polly. Sorry I'm late.
It was worth it.
You look gorgeous.
Mike.
Austin, how you doing?
Not bad. I can't complain. Hey, Mike, listen, what happened before, no hard feelings, huh?
No hard feelings.
Good. Hey, I tell you what, why don't you give me a call sometime, huh? Here's my card. Maybe I can throw some work your way. What do you say?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Mike, it's good to see you.
You too. See anything you like?
It's a nice Bordeaux.
Okay. Give us number 51, please.
Who's that, a friend?
No, not exactly a friend. Austin's an ex-cop who nearly yanked my license away a couple of years ago because he didn't like my style. It's a long story.
I might like you better without a license.
I'd feel naked without it.
What a good idea. Why don't we forget about the wine?
Careful. We may not get invited back. Too old. Send it back. No, I'm just kidding.
Mike, you are primitive.
So was Grandma Moses. She did good work. Cheers.
I understand.
Let it go! You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Austin.
Save the children. We must save the children.
That was the last I would see of Polly, which I could understand. It was the blonde I was after. 2 men were dead, and she was nowhere to be found.
I saw the whole thing. This one guy pulls a gun on another guy, and 2 more guys start firing. There were bullets flying everywhere.
I just can't get that look in Austin's eyes out of my mind. Empty. Dead empty. I haven't seen that look since we were in Vietnam. And then this blonde nuzzles Austin's ear, and then all of a sudden, he pulls a gun and he's just trying to kill people. You gotta do me a favor, man. You gotta find that blonde.
Yeah. Cherchez la femme, Hammer? Let me see if I can get all this straight. This Austin. It's the same Austin who testified against you at a coroner's inquest a couple of years back, right? Bad blood.
I don't like your insinuation, Barrington. And if you'll recall, I was found innocent. If you liked Austin's testimony so much, why did you fire him off the force?
Hold it, Mike. Pardon me. Now, the witnesses, the 9 flakes are backing Mike's story. It looks clean.
Did you get the ID on the second victim?
Yeah, he was carrying a passport. Terrence Buck, jewel merchant. Trying to contact the family in Connecticut.
We'll forget about that because the morgue ran the prints and the name is Brockman. Tony Brockman.
Why didn't they tell me?
Wait a minute. Brockman? Tony Brockman? Sam Brockman's nephew?
Wait, hold it. What is going on here?
Sam Brockman, Sam the Dollar Brockman, is a big loan shark. He's got big friends. And when one of his relatives gets hit, he doesn't call the police, Pat. He calls the DA. And here I thought you came all the way down here just to get on my case.
Yeah, well, when I can, I will. You can count on that one.
Yeah, but you can't. You got an ex-dead cop, an ex-killer dead cop, and now you got a dead underworld figure.
Don't push me, Hammer. Now, I want your statement. And if you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, you're in...
You got my statement. The blonde fingered Brockman. Why don't you earn the taxpayers' money for a change and find her? She's the one you want.
I had a team at Austin's apartment since the call. Good chance we'll be able to piece all this together. You know, Austin was working the organized crime squad before he was thrown off the force last year.
Yeah, I remember. He iced 2 hoods.
Yeah, big deal. They were unarmed.
Hey, they were both killers. You don't ask a cobra if he's got fangs. See you later.
Get some sleep.
Yeah.
I'll call you if his wife gives me anything.
Wife?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you never told me that Austin was married.
Sure.
Well, listen, you gotta let me talk to her.
You stay out of this. The department clean it up.
Yeah, but who's gonna clean it up for his wife? Don't forget, Pat, I killed the guy. Now, come on, you gotta let me talk to her.
You murderer!
This is Austin. Please,
No,
please.
Pat, leave her alone.
You murderer!
Let her
You're
get
a
it out of her
murderer!
system. Mrs. Austin, I did not murder your husband. I shot him in self-defense.
Self-defense. Those were his words. But the department wouldn't listen. 12 years he gave the force, and you just dumped him.
Roberta, please.
Richard would have proven that he was telling the truth if he had been himself. But the department doesn't have room for nervous breakdowns, does it, Captain?
I never knew that Richard had a problem.
3 months of hell? When you call that a problem?
Captain?
Yeah.
Can I see him on it?
Mrs. Austin, could you fill me in a little bit more about Richard's illness? How did he deal with it?
Well, he...
What do you got?
Well, we may have something here. Austin may be dead, but he couldn't have left any more incriminating evidence. He might as well sign a confession. His own wife identified the handwriting.
Was Richard still under treatment?
No, he had successfully completed therapy at the clinic with Dr. Crane. In fact, ever since then, things have been going very well for him at ComTab operations.
Was this his business card?
Yes, it was. Richard was in charge of security. He loved his work, his home, his friends.
His children?
We never had any children. And now, thanks to you, we never will.
Richard Austin had no children. And yet his dying words were save the children.
Oh, sorry.
Shooting gallery's closed, fella.
You were behind the bar last night.
Yeah, and the first round from that cannon of yours nearly knocked my ear off.
Yeah, well, Betsy's always had a very loud voice. Oh, thanks. I'm trying to quit.
Why don't you try taking up the harmonica? Yeah, my brother-in-law swears that's the way he did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen, that blonde that was working the stool, was she a regular?
Nah, last night was her first time.
You sure?
Are you kidding? With a build like that, you think I'm going to forget?
Did you happen to hear what you said to Austin?
Is that the John's name?
Yeah.
She was working his ear. But she did a peculiar thing. When he turned her down, she laid a dime on him.
A dime?
A dime, yeah, I'm sure. I remember because it had a red X on it or something, made with nail polish, you know?
I'd like to see that dime.
I thought it was a funny kind of a kiss-off, you know? But then the John, Austin, he topped her. He used it to make a phone call.
You mind if I borrow this?
Ma Bell collected about an hour ago.
You could have told me.
Hey, you want to mug a payphone? Who am I to stop you?
Yeah.
Hey, no good word? I wore the skirt just for you.
Nice.
Nice. 43rd Street gave me a standing ovation. And you give me nice?
Honey, I'm not myself today. I left my libido at home.
Last night was really rough, huh?
You heard?
Yeah, I talked to Pat.
Yeah, it was about as bad as it gets. Listen, I want to talk to someone at the company where Austin worked. There's a Dr. Crane, Austin psychiatrist. I don't know what his listing is, but make an appointment for me, okay?
You're going to go see a shrink? Finally, after all this time?
Very cute. Keep that up. You went up to wear lipstick.
Okay. I made an appointment for you at Zenita's steam room. You grab a shave and a steam and a couple hours of sleep, and maybe, just maybe, I'll have the appointments that you want.
Oh, it sounds good. You taking over my life?
No, let's just say I like my job.
What time's the steam?
Right now.
Right. Oh, listen, better call Moochie Barnes. I want to talk to him in an hour. Tell him to get the word on Tony Brockman. And find out whatever he can about the blonde.
What blonde?
The one from last night.
Oh.
Oh. By the way, I love the skirt. A good steam leaves you feeling fit and trim. Now all I had to do was get rid of the 200 pounds of ugly fat that was following me. Oh, my goodness, that looks awful. You're going to have to see a manicurist.
I really tried. I'm sorry, Michael, but I couldn't find out anything about your blonde.
My blonde? I thought she was your blonde. She looked like she should work for somebody.
If she did, I would know. At Maison Jacques? No way. Jeez. You accept my word?
I always have, Moochie.
Moochie? Did you see the chandeliers as you came in? No one who has chandeliers is called Moochie. It's Sebastian. Please.
All right, Sebastian, but let's cut the crap. I want to find out about Tony Brockman, and I want to find out about his uncle. And I want to know what they had to do with Richard Austin.
You know, that's what I've always liked about you, Michael. You're so very, very aggressive. I've always admired that in you.
Then let's hear some admiration, huh?
Sure. For old time's sake. Tony wasn't an ordinary soldier. Sam moved the boy into money management. You'd call him a bagman. But it's much more sophisticated nowadays. You don't carry it in a satchel. They got computers, bankers. It's very clean.
So what you're telling me is that the kid laundered money?
Sam sent the boy to learn Swiss banking. Swiss banking. That ain't wash and wear.
All right, but what did Tony have to do with Richard Austin?
Michael, the view from the 20th floor is fantastic. However, checking out the other 19 on the way down can be disabling.
I get your drift. Thanks, Mooch.
It's Sebastian. Yo. You know, I've got to tell Sam that we've talked.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
Michael, be careful of my ficus benjamina.
Oh, Minnesota Fats, you're not.
Hey, everybody misses once in a while.
Not Barrington. Good news, Mike. You're off the hook.
You're kidding.
Those drug dealers that Austin killed before he was thrown off the force. Mm-hmm. Tony was his brother.
Really?
Revenge, it figures. Only Austin hit Tony before Tony could hit him.
Really believe that?
I believe that Barrington doesn't want to raise a stink.
Raise a stink? This already smells worse than a phone booth in the Bowery. Raise a stink.
Mike, relax. It's over.
Hey, it's not over. It'll be over when I can explain that look in Austin's face and I can find that missing blonde. That's when it'll be over. It'll be over when I can tell Austin's widow what happened. Why I had to blow her husband away. That's when it'll be over. Because right now, I don't even have a clue. Dr. Crane's clinic was on the east side, high rent district. According to Velda, you came here to dry out, go crazy, or simply hide from what passes for sanity in New York. Whoever she was, she had class. Excuse me. I'm looking for Dr. Crane.
I'm Dr. Crane.
I'm Mike Hammer. I believe we had an appointment.
Yes, Mr. Hammer, I left word. There's just not time, not today. Good afternoon, Carl. Hi, boys. How are my boys today, huh?
Doctor, are you a disciple of Freud's or the Ringling Brothers? Those dogs look dangerous.
They're supposed to. But actually, they're quite harmless to the patients and staff. They're picked up in the morning and brought back at night. The dogs are for security, Mr. Hammer. A security you seem to have breached.
Okay, look, truce. I just want to ask you a couple of questions about Richard Austin.
No truce. I know exactly why you're here. I do watch the news.
Well, good. That'll make it easier.
Mr. Hammer, you have exactly 1 minute before I call security.
All right, look, I just want to see Richard Austin's files.
That's impossible. All of my patients' files are confidential.
Doctor, just cut the mumbo-jumbo. I can have that file open with a court order from the DA, and you know it. All I have to do is raise enough of a stink. Please, give me a couple of answers.
All right, ask your questions.
This place is not what I would call a rescue mission. How did a guy like Richard Austin wind up here?
Austin was working as a security guard for Comtab when he started to have a few problems. Comtab referred him to us.
So he comes here to the Crane Clinic. You fix him up better than ever. Comtab promotes him to the head of security. Who paid his bills?
Comtab.
Uh-huh. Did they pick up the bills for all their employees here?
No, just some. I work with several major corporations. The fact is, with politics, jet lag, computers, too much information, too fast. Stress is epidemic in our society. Why, I could probably help even you, Mr. Hammer. Although there are exceptions to every rule.
Did Richard Austin ever mention a girlfriend? A blonde?
Out of bounds. But no, he didn't.
What about children? The last thing he said was, save the children.
All effective analysis involves the patient's childhood. Richard Austin was no exception. The truth is, My treatment of him obviously failed. If I could change that, I would. I wonder if you feel the same. Because if you did, maybe he'd still be alive.
You're a regular Sister Teresa.
The Manhattan Mountains were carved out of glass and steel and filled with people trying to climb to the top of companies like ComTab.
See anything you like? I'm responsible for all their training.
Really? You must be the best then.
You'd have to make that judgment for yourself.
I'll make a note.
Please do.
Allison, I can't find the documentation on the Bremer interface.
It's probably up in reproduction. I'll check. Mr. Lacey, this is my camera. Now, if you'll excuse me.
How are you, Mr. Hammer?
Mr. Lacey, your secretary explained to you that I'm here about Richard Austin.
Yes, it's tragic business. Look, I have a board meeting, but perhaps we could chat along the way.
Sure.
You know, it is sad about Austin. I was the one who promoted him to chief of security, and he served us efficiently and quite loyally. But you see, Mr. Hammer, ComTab is international. It's a low-profile organization, and our security is important and essential. But it's equally as important that it be integrated into the overall operation without abrading the efforts of the research and the administrative staff.
All right. Let's just cut the corporate bull, pal. All this high finance, low profile, shine the detective on stuff. Austin was a hard-nosed ex-cop. You didn't hire him to make sure that people threw their candy wrappers in the wastebasket. How much were you paying him?
$60,000 plus perks.
Perks? Does that include a brassy blonde working to keep a size 12 and a size 8?
What are you? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about Richard Austin. He killed a guy a couple of nights ago and nearly took me with him, and I want to know why.
I don't know. Mr. Kohlmeyer, this is the private detective that I was telling you about. We were just discussing the Austin matter.
Yes, I gathered that. Vernon, don't you have a meeting?
Yes, sir, I do. By the way, I was sorry about Austin.
Yes, I shave twice a day, Mr. Hammer. I'd like to make an impression of my company. A good impression, sharp, clean, direct.
Makes sense.
Now, Dr. Crane considers you a borderline sociopath.
Really?
I have respect for her opinion. She had every right to deny you access to Austin's record. I use her services myself. Time to time. I wouldn't certainly like it to be public knowledge.
Well, if you've talked to Dr. Crane, you know why I'm here.
Yes, I do. But an aggressive company like ComTab, and let the loss of one man diminish the whole. Mr. Hammond, ComTab is a new company in a new world. The international monetary computer which is being constructed in Belgium at the present time is ours.
I'm very happy for you.
Software used in the new computer is our game, and it's a very profitable game. One day, Mr. Hammer, all your credit cards, your bank accounts, every transaction you make will be processed with one universal credit card. A ComTab credit card. Controlled by ComTab.
You're talking Big Brother. You know, we have laws against monopolies.
Well, in the new world of international banking, they'll make their own laws. Regarding Austin, if there are answers beyond your knowing, I will find them. And if you have a need to know, I will tell you. Do I make myself clear?
Not in any language I've ever heard.
Well, then I suggest you go to night school.
Kohlmeyer lusted after power, more power than most men dream of, even powerful men like Sam the Dollar Brockman. And unlike Kohlmeyer, Brockman wanted to talk to me.
Nobody listens anymore. Everybody does what he wants to do, and nobody does it right.
Be good. We're both after the same thing.
Are we? Anthony wasn't your nephew.
Yeah, I know. The police say that Tony set Austin up for a hit, for old time's sake, and it backfired, that's all.
You hit a guy who was ever a cop. That's bad for business.
Listen, Sam, I might be able to connect if you were to tell me what Tony was really into.
You know, in the old days, it was so simple. I mean, you put some money out on the street, and they'd chase you down to pay you. Now it's computers and banks, numbered accounts. Tell me, how do people remember those numbers?
What's wrong, Sam?
You know, we used to be the only game in town. Tony got a look at something that made us look like a nickel and dime outfit.
If Sam was telling the truth, Tony wasn't after Austin. Tony was the target. He had stumbled onto something very big, and I was going to find out what it was.
You look good in a turtleneck, Bubba. Sam didn't mention anything about recreational activities.
This is just between us, Hammer. Has nothing to do with Sam.
You should know better to fight when you're disabled, Bubba. Here, change your diet.
Listen, call me in a week, and I'll sign your cast.
Were even more important now. I decided to make a house call to a doctor, Dr. Crane.
Hey, good. Hey, and thrust. Hey, and thrust. All right, very good, very good. That's enough for today.
Thank you. See you on Thursday.
Okay.
How did you find me? I know the clinic didn't give out my home address.
It's what I do.
You obviously do it very well.
You're not too bad at karate. Is that part of your job?
It's a form of direct communication. I do it to relax. Care for something to drink?
I wouldn't mind.
Good. Care for some herb tea?
I hate herb tea.
So do I. Care for some coffee? I have a terrific Kona and Colombian blend.
Got a beer?
Help yourself.
Thanks. What else do you like?
I have a rather strong fondness for the Knicks, Oriental food, and Kabuki theater.
1 out of 3 isn't bad.
Listen, about yesterday. When I'm at the clinic, I have to be all business.
There are at least 2 sides to every story. I was seeing another side of Dr. Crane I found pretty appealing.
Cheers. So, with 10 seconds left to go, the Knicks are down by 2. Truck Robinson tries to out-Danny Darrell Dawkins, and he shatters the entire backboard.
We should see a Knicks game together sometime.
Next Tuesday, the Knicks play the Celtics in the Garden.
I'd like to see that.
Listen, I hate to bring up business.
Richard Austin's file.
You got it. I need it.
Mike, there's a long line of people just waiting for me to have one serious breach of professional ethics. I could, make a quick dinner, and we could discuss dessert. We don't really have to talk about business right now, do we? I can't give you the file.
Then I'm afraid I can't stay for dessert.
A part of me wanted to stay for dessert, but that part's gotten me in trouble before. Breaking an entry's also gotten me in trouble before, but I needed those files if I was going to find out what made Richard Austin go haywire. thought I'd be fine as long as I didn't move. These dogs knew their job. Hold them till the sweat melts them. Fact is, I figured I'd run into these guys, so I came prepared.
Look what I got for you.
Trouble is, these dogs didn't want hamburger. They wanted hammerburger.
Okay, boys.
Anyway, I was finally able to do to them what they'd been doing to fire hydrants for years. Now, getting Dr. Crane's files out of her office was one thing. Understanding them was another. Stanley Freen was the best psychiatrist I knew. Well, at least the only one I could afford. If there was a reason for Austin's behavior the night I shot him, Stanley was the guy who could find it.
Oh, yeah?
What do you got?
All four of these tests show a very strong similarity of personality profile. They're nearly identical. Family-oriented, high moral values, and most important, all four subjects were highly suggestible. And these tests were not given for stress, they were given for psychological conditioning.
You want to run that by me again, Stanley?
Michael, this confab.
Contab.
Just want to see if you were listening. They turn out very highly efficient people. It's called behavior modification. It's not something that you couldn't use, Michael.
Is there anything in there about children? How they felt about children?
Strongly. Very strongly.
Save the children. Austin's last words still rang in my ears, along with the nagging dread that I had missed something. I had questions that could only be answered by Roberta Austin. At least she was starting to understand that I was on her side.
You're certain that neither you nor your husband ever met Joseph Kohlmeyer?
Mr. Hammer.
Hey, Mike, please, come on.
Mike, the chairman of the board, Mr. Kohlmeyer, was a little bit out of our league.
Did you ever hear of a man named Jay Fielding?
No, I don't think so.
What about Sampson? R. Sampson?
R. Sampson. I'm R. Sampson. Roberta Sampson was my maiden name.
Really? Then you were a patient of Dr. Crane's?
No, not exactly. For support, they asked me to stay with Richard during his therapy.
While he was at the clinic?
But only for about 3 weeks. I'll tell you something. It may have been the closest time I ever spent with my husband.
I called Velda. She had interesting information about someone else in Dr. Crane's files. Velda found Jay Fielding, only he wasn't very talkative. He was very dead. Jason Fielding was a nice family man from Jersey, sold insurance, which made you wonder why he'd gunned down a West German banker in Stuttgart, then walked right into a hail of police bullets. One thing was certain. It wasn't real healthy to be in those files. People were in trouble because of the company they were keeping. That company was called Comtab. It was time to see Kohlmeyer and rattle his luxurious cage.
Call the police. Tell them you want to talk to Pat Chambers.
Monsieur Kohlmeyer?
He's dead. Please, honey, make the call.
I'd finally found my blonde, but too late for Kohlmeyer. It was a clear case of suicide. Joseph Kohlmeyer killed himself, all right, but he probably had the same question I did. Why?
Theater here on A&E.
It's Fielding, Austin, and now Kohlmeyer. And they all had the same M.O. They all died pulling a trigger. They either shot themselves or they set themselves up to be killed. Remember what Doc Freen said about behavior modification?
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to take this thing to Barrington.
Oh, no. Listen, by the time Barrington gets to this, you could be in retirement. I shot Austin. Fielding was a family man who suddenly turned into a newspaper item. Kohlmeyer took himself out. I realized Roberta Austin could be in real danger.
Save the children. We must save the children.
Roberta, it's all right. Everything's all right. I understand. We must save the children, Roberta. Now, if we're going to do that, you have to dial the number. Please, Roberta, dial the number. We must save the children.
Roberta, listen. And listen closely. Hammer is threatening the children. You must save the children, Roberta. Hammer must die.
Hello, Doc Freen. Mike Hammer. I need your help. Take behavior modification, bend it a little, and you get brainwashing. Dr. Crane was going to talk to me about her files and her patients, whether she wanted to or not. Remember me, boys? I couldn't find Dr. Crane in her office, but I did find her in what looked like a dressing room. Hello, Doctor.
Hello, Mike. I was just getting ready to take a shower. Would you like to join me?
With or without the wig?
So I lie, don't we all?
A woman of quality doesn't have to. But then you're not worth a plug nickel, let alone a little old dime.
A little old dime.
The dime was the trigger, wasn't it? First you program them to kill, then you slip them the coin, then finally finger the victim, right?
No, this wasn't my trigger. This was my safety device. I could hardly have my assassins going off every time somebody mentioned the poor little children, now could I?
Oh, yes, save the children. Save the children. These people actually thought they were saving the children, didn't they? But really all that was an operational phrase, 3 magic words to set them off. So you dropped a coin on them, gave them the word by phone, all very neat and clean. But why the busty blonde? I mean, that really was a risk, wasn't it?
True. But necessary for our first control group. You see, I needed to monitor my subjects in person, watch their reactions, and see if I needed to refine my procedure. I don't. But this is just the beginning. When ComTab's monetary computer goes into operation, it will be power. Absolute power. We won't answer to the governments. The governments will answer to us.
You're forgetting one thing. The people. The people still have choice.
Oh, no. They won't have a choice. There will only be one credit card, and everyone will have to have one. Just think of it, Mike. One silver credit card, and it holds your entire life. And we hold all the cards.
I think you dealt yourself a pretty good hand, right? You loot the entire system, and you cover it up simply by charging more interest to everybody's credit card account. Nobody will know. And who's going to pay for it? The poor Joe in the street? Not a chance. You, underestimate the people of this country, sweetheart. They won't stand for it.
That's why we require soldiers trained to absolute loyalty. You see, when you're dealing in billions, Mr. Hammer, there is no security that you can't buy. Take you, for example. What's your price? I can afford it. I can afford you.
Not on your best day. By the way, Roberta Austin fired the bullet that was meant for me.
I'm ready, Mike.
How about the DA's office?
If you insist.
People were killing and getting killed so that nobody would interfere with ComTab and its little almighty credit card.
Hold it right there.
Sorry, Lacey. I didn't mean to ignore you.
Get his gun. All right, lose the coat. Let's try this on for size. Hurry up, Hammer.
I think this is a size 8.
Get it.
Tony Brockman knew too much about our operation and tried to move in. Too much knowledge can be dangerous.
It's just my graduation diploma.
That was a dumb thing to do.
There's plenty more where that came from. Sorry, Mike.
Interesting, isn't it? It's just you and me now, no brainwashed assassin this time. Now you've really got the power, Doctor. Go ahead, use it. Go ahead. She was still alive. For Lacey, he just went to the dogs. The papers were going to have a field day with this. But I was more concerned with Roberta. At least I could tell her the truth now because I understand it. Maybe she would too. There was a time when Dr. Crane's dime would have bought a round trip on the Staten Island ferry. These days, the fare costs $25, but it was still the best buy in town.
Biography takes you deep into the Iraqi desert to gather intelligence on Saddam Hussein. Tonight at 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific. Now, it looks like vehicular homicide when Remington Steele runs down a pedestrian. Next on A&E.